All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still the press coming to you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN Television. And now I've been joined by our very own Joshua Imarayi. He's an in-house journalist, and together we shall be taking a look at the headlines that we read out to you earlier. And this is also a reminder that you can now call us to make your contributions on the headlines I read out to you earlier, and also you can join in the conversation. Hi Joshua, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Sandra.
Okay, now let's get into the business of the day. For the longest time throughout this week, we've been talking about the issues of fuel subsidy removal and all of that. And a lot of people, or some of the guests that we had on the program, were of the opinion that maybe Dangote refineries or coming up might have a positive effect on all of this in the long run. But on this headline from The Punch this morning, it's saying Dangote and PH refineries audit won't change fuel price. And that's according to the NNPCL. And it says refineries production input cost will raise price to this current level that we still have it now. So what are your thoughts on the subsidy removal? And were you also of the opinion, or were you thinking that this was going to have a positive effect? And how do you feel about this headline?
Initially, I thought the refineries that would come on board, the Dangote refinery has come on board, and the Port Harcourt refinery that has been in preparations to come on board would actually ease the entire thing. But unfortunately, my bubble was led busting when the NNPC GMD yesterday said that it will not have any effect on it. Firstly, I must state that the NNPC and its GMD, they are being not truthful to Nigerians, because initially they came out in a press conference and said that concerning the product they have on ground, that subsidy has been paid for them until June 31st. But unfortunately, the day after the politicized meeting with the president, that is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they came out with a price. And do you know that even before the price was officially announced, we've already started seeing internal memo from the NNPC flying around. Of course, you saw one, and you saw the argument and the reception it received in one of the places you saw one. It is actually a fact that the NNPC is not being truthful. Two, according to the NNPC, Nigeria is owing an amount of 2.1 trillion on subsidy. Now, is it for a fact that Nigeria has not been paying for its subsidy, or what has been happening, or does it fulfill that statement that they've been clamoring that subsidy is a full-blown fraud and it's scam? Does it prove that? Because
we don't understand the situation. Now we're hearing stories of being owed for subsidy, and we also heard that you've paid till June. So it's very confusing.
Personally, I feel the NNPC is not briefing us enough. And as such,
it's not even a brief that we require right now. It's a full-blown explanation of what's going on.
Personally, because if the price change is coming as early as this, are they trying to say that the reason why the price change is coming earlier is to offset the bills of the subsidy accrued before now? That is the only logical explanation I can get from that. But unfortunately, Mile Kyari has not said anything. All he has been saying, he has been parading himself like a minister of petroleum resources and the petroleum sector, which is not supposed to be so. Mile Kyari is not an appointee of the federal government. He's the GMD. Now, first things first, the monopoly of the NNPC in importing fuel, in importing PMS into Nigeria, has led to our destruction, because only they are active players. And you cannot set a game and you set a rule, and you are the only one who is setting the rule. Others are game players, such as you. It is not a fair gameplay, and it's never to be allowed in anywhere, because they are only doing this entire thing to suit their own whims and caprices, based on my own observation and how I feel. And for a fact that they are saying that the refinery that just came on board and more to come on board, they will not ease the entire effect. I agree so. I agree that subsidy is to go, because it has been something lingering enough that it's consuming almost 96% of our nation's budget, of our nation's revenue, and we don't have money to do anything. It's not something I should smile home about. Now, lastly, one thing I must note is, what is the federal government doing in concerning this thing? What modes, what plans, program, policy are they putting in place to ensure Nigerians do not feel the bite of this fuel subsidy, because whether you like it or not, the average Nigerian depends solely on fuel, transportation fuel, to power your generator in your business fuel. Fuel that indirectly affect the cost of everything on the counter at every market, supermarket, or retail store out there. So we cannot do away with fuel and this effect. The only thing that the government can do is go around to see other sectors that the fuel does not affect. Make it a little cheaper than the way it used to be before. Or you bring out roll out palliative measures. You will pass along this Katampe road and you see on your right hand side, that's when going, on your right hand side, you see a lot of buses parked, Abuja Mass Transit. What happened to those Abuja Mass Transit? What happened to them? Why did they just park hundreds of buses all of a sudden? What happened to them?
They are bad buses.
They are bad buses. If they are bad buses, what are they to do that those buses will return back to the road? Because when I was a core member, I remember entering one of them. But all of a sudden, it's no more. What's happening? These questions are questions that need to be answered to give us heads on what we are facing and what we will see coming.
But then I think we cannot all just leave all the blame to the president, because this issue that you just raised, the Abuja Mass Transit, is not a presidential issue. It's just that Abuja cannot be counted as a state. But that's the problem of the FCTA administration. That's the problem of the FCTA administration. The Abuja Urban Mass Transit is their business. So if they've not been able to invest so much in that or to keep it running, you cannot blame the president for that. And that's why he's also calling on the state government to also come in and do their own part to make sure that everything cannot be left in the hands of the president.
I must put this into your... I must bring this to you. You should note that the Federal Minister of FCT is an appointee of the president, whereby the federal minister is answerable to the president, if I'm not mistaken. And you cannot allow your employee to do whatsoever he wants, and you watch and you fold your hands and watch and, oh, it's not possible. There are ways to make these things work.
Not only the FCTA administration or not only the FCT minister, what about the governors?
As we all know, other state-owned other states, they are rolling out measures to ease this entire thing, just like the Oyo State governor. As of yesterday, I heard of his plans to roll back buses into the streets and will not pay blind eyes to the BRT in Lagos. That is another state government doing something. Now let's talk about what the federal government is doing in FCT, which is supposed to have control over. If I'm not mistaken, the federal capital territory does not have a governor. It only has chairmen of the local government areas, just 6 local government, who they are answerable and receive receive budget and their money used to run the entire thing from the FCT minister. The question is, what is the FCT minister doing, or what has he done before? Because we once had an FCT minister, if I'm not mistaken. What have they done to ease out this entire thing? The thing is, Nigerians are not truthful. Nigerians, specifically those sent there to represent us and those sent to man those positions, they are not truthful, because whenever they get into government, they pay blind eyes to what an ordinary Nigerian should enjoy, and that should not be the case here. You are there because of an ordinary Nigerian came out to vote for your principal emas and led to you being there. So they should start thinking of these things on how to make this thing not bite harder, because whether you like it or not, the only reason I feel the NLC and other labor congresses and other labor unions are not shouting out loud is because the president just started his tenure. They don't want to give him that kind of pressure. Let's just say this should linger on for like 4 to 6 months and see what will happen. And see that from the streets, from offices, you see the protests arising from there. This is not in a means to call in protest. No, protest is never the answer. Because protest is just an avenue for you to air your grievances. And in doing so, it is supposed to not be done in a violent manner. It's supposed to be in a very, very sane manner. But it might get to a point that's the only way that the government will hear Nigerians cry is through violence. And it should not be so. The government should do things that will not make violence arise from situations like this. That is my own opinion.
But we have a caller on the line. I would have loved to add to that, but let's take this call and we'll continue our conversation. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
It's Ugo James from Fege. I want to appreciate your program.
Thank
I've
you
been
so
calling in for some time. Actually, what I want to buy my mind concerning the fuel subsidy of a matter.
Okay.
Well, I believe if we are to tell ourselves the truth, greater Nigerians will know that fuel scam has been a scam that's been going on for years in this country. And right now, for somebody to wake up to muster the courage to stop it, you know very well that the cabals that have been scamming us will not be happy. And a lot of things have to be explained to Nigerians. But the problem we have in Nigeria is that there are so many things we don't know. And information dissemination outfit is not working well. To educate Nigeria, know what is going on in this country or our country. And so lack of information is what is actually destroying us. The word says, if you fail to learn, to be well informed, you get deformed. The reason why it looks like many Nigerians are deformed now is because of lack of information. So to remove fuel subsidy is a very welcome development. It must have to be done. But because the collateral damage has been there for years, and now that we just said let's remove it, and it's just about 2 days now we say we are removing it, that's why the whole place is on fire, is distraught, and trouble, hunger, quarrel, annoyance, and anger everywhere. But it is a welcome development. I pray that the new president, God will help him and his team to really work on this. Now, I need to be told the truth about this country and the economy and everything. The system has to work. But I know it's not going to be easy because the cabals have done damage to this country. But God will handle them one by one. And Nigerians will rejoice. This is my take.
All right. Thank you so much for your contributions this morning. We really appreciate your take on the conversation we're having in studio at this time. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. I think we lost that call there. Please do call us back, and when you do, please turn down the volume of your TV set so that we can hear you better and you can also get to hear us. All right, back to our conversation. You made mention of a whole lot of things, and there are things that we, like our caller just said, subsidy removal is a great idea, but maybe the problem that Nigerians have is the way it was done, and like I said, lack of information, which I don't know who will blame for that, because if we keep on calling on the orientation agency, I don't know how long or what they're expected or what we hope them to see. But taking a look at the headlines that we read this morning, the president also met with intelligence agency and security chiefs, and in his words, "I will not tolerate oil theft," Tinubu tells security. So I want to also take us back to the fact that this oil theft is an issue that we face in Nigeria, and all of this has an effect on the oil pricing in Nigeria. When it's being stolen, what you have to price it to make up for whatever it is that you've lost. So all of this, don't you think that he's also trying his best to work in the right direction? Because obviously subsidy removal must happen at some point. If it doesn't happen now, it's going to happen in the next 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, but it will happen at some point. And at any time it does, we'll still get the same reaction that we're getting now. So don't you think maybe palliative might not be readily available? Because I don't know the kind of, some people say you should subsidize transportation. We're trying to remove anything subsidization because we don't have the money for that. So don't you also consider this as a step in the right direction in trying to make things work? Well,
I must commend the proactiveness of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his mantra in ensuring that Nigeria does not go down the drain while other countries are being enriched by stolen crude oil and other things. But one thing I must mention is Nigeria is not the only one who is not paying for subsidy right now. Other countries are not paying for subsidy right now. Now, do you think them not paying for subsidy right now affects their condition of living? Because just recently they said Nigerians, they listed a part of Nigeria that they are suffering from multidimensional poverty.
Right.
Now, what this means is that you are not just being poor alone. You not being able to pay your light bill is another dimension of being poor. You not being able to see food to eat is another dimension of being poor. You not being able to move is another dimension of being poor. Now, grouping this together, they gave it a name, a phrase, multidimensional poverty. It shows that Nigerians are gradually plugging down the drain of poverty. And the question is, what policy, activity, or program is the government introducing that will make all these things not bite harder on Nigerians? I will not blame President Bola Ahmed Tinubu because he's just coming on board. Who I'll blame is that man in Daura who went to his hometown and was complaining of AC. For Christ's sake, you know how you left Nigeria. Now, the wrongest of all options to choose ever is ever choosing that man as the president. Now, I can say all what I can say, or what I want to say, without fear or favor of anybody. Muhammadu Buhari coming in as the president of Nigeria for 8 years actually resulted more in Nigeria going down the drain of poverty.
All right, hold this there. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Sandra.
Hi,
good morning.
Good morning, SMD. Good morning, how are you doing?
Thank you. How are you doing? Mr. Joshua, thank you very much, and then I really appreciate your analysis. Let me just ask or respond in line of what Mr. Joshua was saying. Sandra, you know you are a journalist, and then also Joshua, you are a journalist. You remember 2012, there is a committee set up by the National Assembly under the education chairman, who happens to be the other committee chairman, Farouk Lawal, to prove the allocation on the fuel subsidy scandal, which ended him off at the correctional center now. So the question is, does that mean that Nigeria cannot, the government cannot deal with these people within our cycle that usually loot the Nigerian treasury? Because we are almost about 216 million Nigerians approximately. And these people within this cycle, they are not up to 10 million. Does that mean that all the security agencies, the correctional, the ICCC, the EFCCs cannot be able to mitigate this menace in our society until we do away with the fuel subsidy? That's the question. If that should be the case, what moral justification do we have that if this fuel money has been subsidized, cannot be sustained, and the money has been moved to education, health, infrastructure, and so on and so forth, what moral justification do we have that this money will not be looted? That's the question, because I believe there is this allocation of 15% or 10% on any director or MD or any head of agency that gives contract. So that's a salary or a standard, even though it's an allocation, I never know. Is that your paid salary? And with our own taxpayers' money. So does that mean that if really we cannot handle these people within this cycle of the subsidy standards, it means that we cannot deal with the issue of corruption in our society, and that is a big problem to us. So I am advising the government, with even this, with the ongoing issues of the subsidy, they should also set up a technical committee that will look into our refineries to see how we can revive, even if it is too, so that maybe that way we can pass the cracking wall. Believe me, Dangote cannot handle us. You understand my point? It's a private agency, as a private organization, it's there for business. So please, I'm appealing on the government also to look into how they will set up a technical committee to look into our refineries and come up with recommendations to see whether it before the end of this tenure we can patch the cracking wall. Thank you very much. I remain SMD from Lagos. Joshua, I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. All right. Throughout this week, I remember and realized that anytime we open this conversation of fuel subsidy, we have lots of callers calling in to make their opinions, and it shows how aggrieved Nigerians are. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Good morning, Sandra. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well.
Please go ahead and make your contribution. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Alaba Alakbat, reaching you from Sabo, Iwoniba, in Ojo local government here in Lagos.
Okay.
Yeah, well done. And I greet my guy there. He's doing very fantastically well. I mean, your guest. Yeah, I want to say this. I just want to appeal to all Nigerians. We are having the right driver in our vehicle now, who is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. When we see the kind of system, the way the man has started shows Nigeria is going to change within 4 years. What the man just needs, what President Bola Tinubu needs, is the cooperation of all Nigerians, especially we the youth. Don't give this man opportunity to hurt. It's going to hurt in our favor.
Okay.
President Bola Tinubu is the man that after finishing his 4 years and his second time, it's we Nigerians are begging him not to go. Because the man will surprise a lot of us.
All right.
The man is going to do well. Let us give him benefit of doubt. Nigeria will triumph. All of us will succeed. All of us will survive under his leadership. Good morning and God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right. I will have to let that call go. Please remember to turn down the volume of your TV set so that you can get to hear me and I can also hear you better. Back to your thoughts. You've been blaming President Muhammadu Buhari for how far like you said, Nigeria has gone down the drain. So now he is out. The problem is there's something that we're left with that I don't know if we'll be able to recover, and that's the issue of mistrust. Because our earlier guest that called said it's not about this subsidy removal, it's the accountability that comes with it. So how are we going to be sure that the money that was removed from the subsidy, or that the money that was not used for subsidy, is being channeled into the right places? How do we account for that? So now the problem is we may not be able to get the details of how every spending was spent. So this is going to have to be an issue of, I trust the government to do the right thing, but we don't. So how do we now solve all of these problems?
You know, this entire case, I cannot do not to mention the former president, because there is actually a beginning to a story. Because while he was a sitting president, he said this subsidy is a scam. A sitting president saying that, and now, he was not
proactive enough to take it out at that point.
Basically, he only took it out. Now, Nigerians should know this fact, that subsidy was not provided in the policy document handed over to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Nigerians should know this, and to shift the onus on who is to be shifted to now. Because President Bola, just like the biblical saying that we cannot continue in sin that grace may abound, we cannot continue in this entire sham that we will continue to pay subsidy for things that are not being subsidized for. Whether you like it or not, is a sham. And I feel those people who are responsible for such payment, they need to start answering questions. Like I always say, questions needs to be asked and answers needs to be given. Now, the question is, who is going to give us this answer? We don't have anyone on board yet. Yes. But we still have those from the House of Rep, from the Senate. They should come and answer. Basically, they are chairman of committees of such arrangement, and they should be able to answer questions. But now they are not answering any question. Just like the senator, the young man mentioned from Lagos, the young man from Lagos mentioned, that man needs to come on board and say things that tell the House what happened. Why do we still have 2.something trillion as debt as a country? For Christ's sake, that will just allow us, if we should focus on that debt now, if we should focus on that debt squarely, it will tell on the Nigerian economy whether you like it or not. But personally, I feel President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have plans for this.
Yes.
I feel so. Because coming on board and telling you square head that I am not going to continue with subsidy, it's a scam, we should let it go, it's actually a good place to start from. But I must say this, question needs to be asked and people need to give answers. Who are the people that need to give us answers? We should start asking these questions.
All right, so let's take this call and we'll continue our conversation. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning. Please turn down the volume of your TV set.
Yes. My name is Alex Okafor.
Good morning, Mr. Okafor. How are you doing today?
Fine.
Please turn down the volume of your TV set.
Okay. So I've registered.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, please, what I want to say about the subsidy issue, please let Nigeria hear me point and clear. There's nothing like subsidy. There's nothing like subsidy. Before Babangida came into power, 1986, we have a system. We run a government of Jordan system. Nigeria is rated by industries, the number of seaports. When Shagari came into power, he built almost 12 seaports, both in Burutu and other areas, for Nigeria's economy to push. But when Babangida came into power, he changed us into a brokerage system of governance. Everybody become a broker. Now what he did then, he went and brought people with grammar, speaking grammar to convince everybody that is this, is that, that is that, this is that, and that is confusion. Now the OPEC gave us 600,000 barrels of crude oil for our domestic consumption. That consumption is not part of the OPEC. Nobody accounts for that. Now, what they did before is Nigeria only.
Oh, I think we lost that call, and I was hoping to hear the end of that particular.
I think I understand where that caller is going. But one thing I must let him know is that what the OPEC does not give you barrels of consumption, barrels of crude oil for consumption. It does not tell you what to buy. It only tells you what to refine, daily or yearly or monthly. It only gives you a specification around which you should go, that you should turn over. As the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, it will tell you that this is what you are supposed to turn over a month. I don't think OPEC has any hand in this. The people that have hand in this is, number one, the GMD of NNPC. The first step they went ahead was privatization, the allowing of individuals to come and take over NNPC. Now let me tell you something.
You think that was a bad idea?
Personally, it's a government-owned property.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
It was.
Then, if the Port Harcourt Refinery could have not been let down and given to Dangote, who wanted ownership or concession of it, if that was not given, what would go wrong with the NNPC? Why the question? I'm not against them doing it, but I'm against the people who purchase those funds in NNPC. You would understand that Buhari sold NNPC to his cohorts and his friends and families to invest on, and they use government money in investing in that company.
You don't have any evidence to that.
Well, I don't have evidence, but that is what is showing now, because you cannot come out and say the government of Nigeria is owing so amount to who are we owing it to?
NNPCL.
NNPC that is owned by private individuals now. That private individuals now have stake on now, dictating to Nigerians.
Hello, good morning.
From the local government state.
All right, thanks so much for joining us on the program.
I wanted to public on the program that just put down, so say that about the President Tinubu's government that removing the subsidy. What the President Tinubu did is very good.
Oh, I think we lost that call again. Please do call us back if you can. Please, we would like to hear your contributions. Joshua Imarayi, like I said earlier, most of this, what you just said, are things that you don't even have evidence to. I don't know if coming to saying privatizing the NNPC was a good idea, or if it wasn't. Are you saying that them telling us that the federal government is owing NNPC trillions of naira? Maybe they are, because if they are not, I don't think that that will come up. But if they are, I think it's their business to settle. But where I'm more concerned about is how this affects Nigerians. The begging question is, would this ever get better? Because we know how Nigeria is and how Nigerians can be. Transportation has doubled ×2. A lot of things has even tripled in prices. Is this how we will live from now henceforth? Or do you think that there's going to be a situation or a time when things will get better? Or do you think it will just at some point just adjust to it?
One thing I must mention is that government is a continuum. It does not end. You have to start from where the other party ended. From all facts pointing towards one direction is that the APC is continuing from where the APC stopped. Now, I only feel and hope that the APC that is coming on board now will be the new APC that will turn things around, that will change things, not the one who left things in a mess. Because you cannot leave things in a mess. You cannot leave Nigeria in a mess and go to your hometown complaining that the AC is not chilling enough. That is so funny and ludicrous to me, personally. Then, while this subsidy is biting really harder in the face of Nigerians, is that almost everything, industries, production units, is always dependent on fuel. And it should not be so. You don't have rails like, for instance, now, Qatar, the US, they don't pay for subsidy, if I'm not mistaken. But they don't base all of their productivity on fuel. Their transportation is not 100% fuel based. It's not. Most of they don't work with private generating personal generating sets or whatever. They don't do that. They have who supplies them power. They have Genco, Discos, and all that. They have made these things encouraging entrepreneurs to put more in their system. Now, the thing is, how would you encourage entrepreneurs from outside this country to invest in your government when they don't have power supply to generate or run whatever they are running in this country? The dependence on fuel is what is turning this thing upside down. Because let me give you an analogy. Now, for one who is on a salary of 40,000 naira and has 2 children who schools in the neighboring village, that they have to go take transport to the neighboring village to go to school. Just look at that scenario now. You pay your own transport, you buy food, and you give these children transport fare. The transport fare that was 100 naira just yesterday has doubled, because now everything doubled to the price is a 100% increase, if not more than, if not even up to 300, because the fuel is almost 300% increase that they are paying for it now. Now all these things are doubling. Just look at this analogy. You give the child you were giving 100 naira yesterday. You know what, give that child 100 naira.
You're giving at least 300.
300 naira. At least 300 naira. Now the money you are using to transport yourself from your workplace to your home and back increase ×2 or ×3. Thank you. The food you are buying from that woman, you have been owing debt from across the street. Now, prior to this subsidy removal, you've been owing that debt. Now, after this subsidy removal, things skyrocketed. You are still owing her there, and you are going to buy with a new calculated sum for every piece per unit. Now, consider this whole thing and see how why would you say Nigerians will not be frustrated? How? When the salaries are not going up, minimum wage is not going up, you are not providing avenues to make this thing to cushion this effect. You are not doing anything, and you expect us to smile. I am not. This is in no way to pressurize the current president. Now, this is an expose to highlight things that he needs to put in place.
Okay.
Policies that you need to introduce that will caution this entire thing, that will not make it hard for us. That is my only concern about it.
Well, this is just less than 7 days into his government, and a lot of things has been sprung into action. Let's see how he has like 4 years to go. I don't want to say 8, so he still has like 4 years to go, and we hope to see how that turns out, and the things that he is going to be able to put in place. Because from what we're seeing today on the National Daily, he's also springing into action in regards to security, and we hope to see positive results from all of that. And we're hoping that this subsidy removal at the long run might end up on the positive note. Thank you so much for coming on the program, Joshua.
Me.
All right, so our beautiful viewers who were able to call in today and join us on the conversation, I appreciate you. And to those who were not able to reach us, please do join us next time, and we'll be able to take your calls and your contribution. We're sorry for not being able to take them today. We ran out of time, but Monday we'll continue the press on KAFTAN television. Till I come your way next time, I remain Sandra Ago. Enjoy the rest of the day.